Hey, what's up, comic book culture? It's your boy, CBM, in the house and the place to be. And hold on. Let's do that again. And do it with me because it was just so much damn fun. It's your boy, CBM, in the house and the place to be. And welcome back to my comic book channel, Indie Key Comics and Collectibles, where we collect, review, and invest in anything and everything comic book related. And as you guys see from the thumbnail in my previous video, I've been doing a lot of collecting this year. A ton. A ton of collecting. I've been everywhere from auctions. Not auctions. I've been everywhere from antique malls to dollar bins to eBay to Facebook to flea markets to garage sale, house sales, you name it, and I've been there looking. I've been there in the name of comics, searching for comics. But to be honest, the best deals so far that I found have been all on eBay. And that's me being honest. All the good deals have been on eBay to me, even more so than Whatnot. I prefer shopping. Maybe I'm old school like that, but I still prefer shopping on eBay more than anything. And this summer, I was kind of on a quest to try to complete a Fantastic Four run. I wanted the whole complete series, and that just wasn't happening. I guess other people had the same idea. While the comic book market is so down, I could tell that people are trying to complete their runs, and complete a full series. So when I went on eBay looking for Fantastic Four lots, people were just buying those up. They were buying those collections up. So I wasn't winning any auctions. I wasn't getting any good deals. And they were kind of flying off the shelf. So I said, okay, let's re-strategize. And I started saying, let me go after trying to complete an Avengers run, trying to complete that whole series. And the same thing, I just wasn't having any luck whatsoever. They too were also flying off the shelf and people were buying them up. And I think people started realizing it's so much of a better deal to buy in bulk instead of going to your local comic book store and spending $50 to get if you're lucky 10 books when you can spend $50 on eBay and get 75 books. And as I was looking around for Avengers comics, that led to me finding Thor lots. And I said, hey, these lots are looking pretty damn good. And they're pretty damn affordable. And I like collecting Thor. I have a lot of Thor in my collection. Before I started buying up all of these Thor lots and collections, I want to say I had about maybe 75 to 125 Thor comics. Not much, but it filled up, a short box. It was enough to almost fill up a short box, about 75% of it. And I was like, hey, Thor is, up there. He's a top 10 favorite superhero, for me of all time. So I was like, while they're so cheap, maybe I should, make a run at completing a Thor series. And next thing I know, I just started finding deals everywhere on Thor comic books. I don't know if it's because Love and Thunder did so bad, because I don't think that movie was that bad. I thought it was pretty good. I liked seeing Jane Foster Thor. After so many years of hating Jane Foster Thor, from when she first made her appearance in 2008 with that whole Marvel Now stuff, she finally grew on me, and I did end up liking the character, and I did end up loving the movie, and I loved seeing her in the movie, and I loved seeing her do things with Thor's hammer that he never did before with it. So I really started becoming a huge fan of Thor, and I was just like, well, let me buy some Thor comics off of eBay and see what happens, see if I could put this one together. And the first set, the first collection, the first lot of Thor comics is what I showed you in the previous video, where I got about 80 Thor comics for about $40 plus $10 worth of shipping. I thought that was a great deal. When they got to my house, I was pretty happy with the condition of those books. I give them overall a 9. They were all in a 9.0, maybe 9.4 type of condition. Some of the books, and then some of the books were maybe as low as an 8.0. But I was real happy to have them. They were all newsstand editions. But 80 comics definitely wasn't gonna fill up a whole Thor, run. It wasn't gonna complete a series. So after that, I bought, which is what I have here today, is 100 Thor comics for $125. And I think it was like November, and I was in Auburndale visiting my mother-in-law, and somewhere in Lakeland they have like a huge flea market every weekend. And in the back of that flea market, I found, a guy selling comic books, and he had, like I said, about 100 Thor comics. He said he thought he had 90 only, but I just got done counting them, and they were 100 Thor comics. And he thought it was only about 90 books. It was almost a full short box. I think he wanted $200, which was pretty much $2 a book. And I always say try to get your back issues for $1 or less, or try to get them for like $1.25, $1. Don't go over $1.75 on back issues, especially if you're buying them in bulk. And so I threw him a price of 100. He said 150, and then we met at the middle at 125, which I'm real happy. And in this video, you're gonna see a lot of doubles from the previous video. You're gonna see a lot of comics that you've seen in the previous video. But the difference is that these are all direct additions. So now I have like 4 short boxes full of Thor comics that I need to show you guys. And I definitely have more than half the collection now. Half the run, half the series. And I definitely have almost all of it in direct edition and U-Stand edition. So I'm really happy and really excited about that. I can't wait to get through all 4 boxes and see all of them. But today we're gonna see the 100 issues that I got for $125 at the flea market. So with all that said and out the way, let's talk comic books. Okay, so the earliest issue in this collection, in this lot, is Thor issue 213. No, my bad, 212. And it's probably the one that's in the worst condition out of all of them. But anytime I can get any Thor issues in like the 100s or the 200s, I'm really happy about that, because even the issues, you would think Thor issue 250 wouldn't be considered a low issue. But nowadays, getting your hands on Thor comics in the 200s, it's pretty hard to come by. They're pretty hard to find. And nowadays they're starting to feel like low issue numbers. That is 212. Here is Thor issue 213, with him all chained up on the wall begging for mercy. I hate seeing Thor in situations like that. Thor should be so damn powerful, he should never be in situations like that. Here is Thor issue 227, and this is one of my favorite comics and covers because it has Thor, Hercules, and the Fire Lord. And the way I got into Thor comic books is that anytime a cosmic being like Adam Warlock or Captain Marvel or Silver Surfer or Thanos made an appearance in like a Thor comic book or an Avengers or in a Fantastic Four, or a title that I just didn't collect, that's what made me, and that's how I got into those other titles, is that when I saw my favorite cosmic beings in those comic book titles, that's what drew me into them, and that's what made me collect their titles. And after a while of, eventually noticing, like, man, there's a lot of cosmic beings that make appearances in the Thor universe. And I know Thor is supposed to be more of a fantasy, mythical, like, fantasy type of, like, person and like storytelling. But I think Thor fits into the cosmic universe. I think he's a part of that cosmic universe. There's enough characters that make appearances in his comic, and he's always, making appearances in other cosmic beings comics. And I think he's definitely a part of the cosmic universe. Here is Thor issue 262. Here is Thor issue 291. It's got Odin and Zeus on the cover. And I know Thor's always busy teaming up with the Avengers and saving the day on Earth and being Earth's mightiest hero. But to me, I don't know. And I know he's supposed to be fantasy and mythical, and he should be out there fighting ice giants. But to me, Thor has just made way too many appearances in the cosmic universe. And like I said, too many of my favorite cosmic superheroes have made appearances in his comic book. And not only does he deal with, the cosmic side of the Marvel universe. He's dealing with everything from like the TVA and stuff like that. And I just think, to me, Thor is a part of he's a part of the sci-fi part of the Marvel universe, the cosmic part of the Marvel universe. And I love seeing him in it and having him in it. Okay, over here we have Thor 311. And I don't know if you guys could see that, but it's like a gang of cops on one side and a gang of black people on the other side and Thor in the middle. And I don't know if like the cops are trying to stop a riot or if there's about to be like some police brutality going on. But I just hope that Thor, does the right thing in this situation. I don't think a cover like that would get made in today's time. And here is Thor issue 312. And that is the problem with comic books nowadays, is that they just don't make covers like this anymore. I understand that the variant covers is what, rules the market today and like what keeps the market going and all of these dope covers and stuff. But to me, like, gone are the days, of like action covers. Gone are the days of like when covers told a little story of what was about to happen in that comic book, and to me, I feel like I don't know, the covers nowadays have lost some of their heart and soul. Like, they're cool covers and they're gonna sell, they're gonna fly off the shelf, they're gonna go up in value, they're gonna look super cool. But to me, they don't have that heart and soul that they used to. Here is Thor issue 313. Second. Okay, and here is Thor issue 315. I've got maybe about a quarter of these books in new bags and boards, but I haven't had a chance to like take the flap because I ran out of tape. Here is Thor issue 316, and what a cool cover. And this is what I mean by like they just don't make covers that look like this anymore. Here's Thor and Iron Man back to back teaming up. It's a really, really cool cover. And it's just the way the colors they use, the way they used colors back in the day to make those covers really stand out and, really popping and vibrant. Like, they just don't make them like they used to. Here is Thor issue 314. This is one of my favorite comics because, as a kid, I remember reading Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. And I didn't know that prior to those comics, or prior to the Infinity Gauntlet saga, that Drax the Destroyer and Moondragon even knew each other. I didn't even know that they had teamed up, or that, Drax was Moondragon's father. And it to me, it blew my mind as a kid that, Drax and Moondragon had went as far back as, 1981, and teaming up back then. So I was really surprised at that. Another thing I want to add is that I really miss Drax the Destroyer's old costume. Like, they need to bring that back. That one is just classic. I remember when I first got back into Marvel Comics and I was looking for, like, characters that I was familiar with, like Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer and Drax the Destroyer and, like, Gamora, Moondragon, stuff like that. I didn't even recognize the new version of Drax the Destroyer, this guy that was, shirtless and covered up in tats and scars. And I don't even know how they made that transition going from this Drax the Destroyer to the modern current Drax the Destroyer. I don't know what led to that or whose idea that was, but I still prefer the old costume. And another thing that I want to mention is that the MCU really downplays how powerful Drax the Destroyer is. Drax the Destroyer can hold his own with the Silver Surfer. He can hold his own with Thor. He can hold his own with Adam Warlock. Heck, they brought the guy back to life just so he could take down and defeat Thanos. If that doesn't say how powerful he is, I don't know what does. But the MCU should have made him a lot more powerful than he was portrayed in the actual movies. Here is Thor issue 327 with Odin on the front cover. Here is Thor issue 351. And again, I want to say, I'm not like the biggest Thor fan. Before I pick up a Thor comic book and read a Thor comic, there's like 7 other titles, 7 other superheroes that I would, want to read first, like Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, Captain Marvel, Thanos, Avengers, Fantastic Four. Then if I've read all of that, then I'm like, hey, it's time to pick up a Thor comic. And it's not that I don't love Thor. I'm not in love with Thor comics. And I like him a lot, and I like, the storytelling behind the character and stuff. But he just wasn't my favorite. So I don't want to sit here and act like he was my favorite superhero of all time. But when I ran into deals like this, that deals that was so good, deals with that was so dirt cheap, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. I couldn't resist the opportunity to complete a full Thor run and complete that series. And I know I think Thor's up to like issue 600 and like 70 or something. And I want to say for sure I've already got more than half the collection in direct edition and newsstand edition. And I'm really happy with that. And the reason why I'm so happy with that is because I think there's going to be a day where there's going to be less and less comic book stores. And you're not just going to be able to go to your local comic book store and flip through your favorite titles like you're used to. And I want to be prepared for when that day comes. I want to have a room that's full of like complete runs, complete series of like characters that I love, characters that I grew up with, characters that I want to like spend the rest of my life trying to read that whole run and series. Here's Thor issue 352. I don't know if you guys could see, but it's got the Fantastic Four on the cover. It's got Mr. Fantastic and Beta Ray Bill on it. Oh, also have the Vision on it. Here is Thor issue 353 with Thor and Loki on it. And let me tell you, Loki's another character that has grown on me tremendously throughout the years. Like I said, when I was a kid, Thor and Loki weren't my favorite characters of all time. But, like I said earlier, like when so many of my favorite characters kept on crossing over into Thor comics and, me just reading Thor over and over and like getting used to the character, he really grew on me and Loki grew on me. And now I absolutely love Loki. Here is Thor issue 354. I believe that's Thor's sister on the cover over there. And if she's anything like my two sisters, Thor is in major trouble. That is Thor issue 354. Here is Thor issue 355. Oh my gosh, what a great cover over here. And this is what I mean by great covers. A, they don't make covers like this anymore. A, this is an action cover, and it's got actual words on the cover. And they don't even put words on the comic book covers anymore. And you got Hercules and Thor on the front cover as Hercules is trying to kick it to a lady. Hercules was always about the ladies. He was always about kicking it to the honeys. And there he is like smushing Thor away, just smacking him away, saying, hey, I'm not done over here talking to the little honey. I'm surprised that Hercules didn't steal Jane Foster from Thor. But here is Thor issue 357, Beta Ray Bill. And then by like reading and collecting Thor, I started falling in love with, other characters that were making an appearance in the Thor universe, like Hercules and Beta Ray Bill. And it just kept on expanding my love for Marvel and Marvel comics and Marvel characters. Like I always tell people, you don't need to collect every comic book under the sun to love and enjoy Marvel comics and get to like read, get to experience all the different characters. If you read enough Spider-Man, eventually there's gonna be Punisher appearances in those comics. There's gonna be X-Men appearances in those comics. There's gonna be Daredevil appearances in those comics, and you'll get your little Punisher, X-Men, Daredevil fix by just reading, Spider-Man. And if you end up loving Punisher or you end up loving Daredevil, you can be like, hey, that's something I want to add to my reading list and keep on collecting. And that's how I fell in love with Thor. I was just reading a lot of Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock. And when he made appearances in those comics, I thought it was really cool. And then I started realizing when my favorite cosmic superheroes were making appearances in his comics, I was like, hey, those are must-haves for me, must-pick-ups. And, I ended up really enjoying them. And then I ended up really enjoying Thor. Thor issue 358, and then like other characters like Beta Ray Bill and Lady Sif and Loki. Here's Thor issue 359 with Thor bowing down to Loki. Anything that has Loki on the cover nowadays, I'm really glad and happy to have in my collection. I want to say as a kid, Loki was maybe a top 10 supervillain for me, but I wasn't too crazy about him or anything, and I didn't think he was too powerful. I didn't think he was up there on the same level as a Thanos or as a Galactus or anything like that. I know he was considered a Norse god and stuff like that, but I didn't think he was up there with the likes of a Thanos or a Galactus. And the show, the Marvel and Disney to me did such a great job with that show. I thought season one and season two were just so, especially season one was so epic when I started realizing that the show was gonna be about like time traveling and Loki was like a part of this TVA, this time traveling, like police, enforcers. It blew my mind away, and not only did it intrigue me and it drew me into the character, but it made me want to watch all of those episodes. And I ended up loving season one and two. And then afterwards, I was like, I wanted to collect all of the keys from that series. So I'm glad to have a lot of Thor comics because a lot of those keys, from the Loki show are in the Thor series. Here is Thor issue 360. So anytime I see anything with Loki on the cover or Loki in the storyline, I'm picking it up because I ended up loving that character. To me now, Loki's a top five supervillain. At the end, he becomes he who remains. Um, to me, if that he who's the last man standing at the end of the Marvel universe, if that to me doesn't spell out powerful, I don't know what does. And I think they did a great job. That actor did a great job portraying Loki. They did a great job taking that character into a new direction, and I think they made Loki epic. Here is Thor issue 361. So I ended up falling in love with Loki. He's a top five supervillain or superhero now, and I look really forward to reading anything that has Loki in it or on the cover. I look forward to collecting it. Here is Thor issue 362. What's the name of that guy? I forgot that guy's name. I know he's a really badass who's always giving Thor a lot of problems. But here's Thor issue 363. I'm kind of pissed off. The other day there was a Thor comic book collection on eBay. It was 130 Thor comics for $135, and I kind of slept on the auction. It was ending at a late time, and I was 9 minutes late to it, and it was over, and it sold for exactly 135 for $135. 135 comics for $135, and I know there would have been a lot of doubles in that collection, but I don't know why. I don't mind getting doubles and triples of comics because I don't mind having doubles, especially if it's a direct edition and a newsstand edition. And B, I don't mind getting a triple of that same book if it means that it's gonna, be a higher grade and I get to improve the condition of that, of my of that book, 367. I don't mind having a triple, especially if one of them is in higher grade than the other, and I get to improve the condition of that book. Here is Thor issue 368. Here is Thor issue 369. Here is Thor issue 370. Look how cool this cover just like says it all. Like look at Thor's face. Like, you can see like some real expression in the artwork. And I feel like that's what I mean by like I feel like some of these covers nowadays just don't have the same heart and soul. You don't see that same type of expression in the character's face. And, like you could really tell that Thor's contemplating something here seriously. That's 370. Here is Thor issue 371. And I'm pretty sure that this is one of those Loki TVA key comics. A key that belongs, that ties into the show. And I want to say it's the first appearance of somebody in this comic. I just don't know. If you know, please leave a comment down below because I'm not an expert in Thor comics. Like I said, this is my first time. I never, intended to have this many Thor comics, and it wasn't my intention to have 4 short boxes full of Thor comics. Like I said, he was only like Thor's like a top 10 superhero for me, but it wasn't like, oh, I feel like I must have, every Thor comic. I just wanted the comics that had appearances by my other, main superheroes, my favorites like Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, and Thanos. But when I found the opportunity to buy so many collections, so many lots of Thor comics for dirt cheap this summer, I just couldn't resist adding him to my collection, adding it to my collection. Here is a beautiful cover. Thor issue 373 is that Marvel 25th anniversary superhero wraparound frame. That is a beautiful cover. I don't know how many different covers Marvel made like this. The other day I was at a flea market. I saw a Muppet Baby comic that had the same cover. And I also saw a G.I. Joe comic that had the same cover. And I wish I could find a list of like how many of these Marvel 25th anniversary covers were done, so I can go out there and try to find them, but they're really hard to find. And anytime I do find them, they're always like $10 to $20. And on eBay, I want to say they're always like $15 to $25. But I always try to get them on the cheap, and I always try to, get things in a bulk so I can get it on the cheap. But this is this is the newsstand edition. So now I have both, but I'm sure I have 2 or 3 of these already, which I don't mind. Here is Thor issue 374. Here's Thor issue 375. Here is Thor issue 376. Here's Thor issue 377. But yeah, I'm really glad to have this because it feels good, like having 4 full short boxes of Thor comics and having like a good amount of it, having a good run of it, and almost having a complete series and just flipping through all those books in your own house and making your room feel like a comic book. So I, I don't know. I just can't stress how good that feels to me and how important that is, because I just think there's gonna be a day where there's gonna be less and less comic book stores, and that day is right around the corner, and you're gonna wish you had a run of Avengers West Coast just to flip through. You're gonna wish you had a run of Quasar just to flip through, and you're gonna wonder why didn't you buy it when it was only like $65 to buy the whole series, And here's Thor issue 379 as he battles Fing Fang Foom. That's another supervillain or character that I think you can give any superhero a run for their money. Fing Fang Foom is dangerous. Is Thor 381. I think we're like halfway done now. Here is Thor 382 as he dons the armor. What is that, the Berserker armor? Here is Thor 383, and this is an untold tale from the Secret Wars event, as you can see on the top left-hand corner. And I want to say there's about 3 to 4 major crossovers, like Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade, Secret Wars 2, that I want to complete those crossovers. So like anything those books crossed over, anything that story crossed over into, I don't care if it's Sleepwalker or it's Iron Man or it's Thor, or if it's the New Warriors. I want to get every issue that those 4 crossovers, those 4 to 5 crossovers crossed over into. So I'm gonna make sure anytime I see a Secret Wars crossover or an Infinity Gauntlet crossover, I'm picking those up because I really want to read the full story and like from every character's perspective, every character that the Infinity Gauntlet saga was in the MCU at that time. I want to see, their perspective of it. I want to see how did it affect, Moon Moon Knight's life. I want to see how did it affect the Sleepwalker's life. That's how much I love that the Infinity Gauntlet story, and that's what started my whole comic book collection. The Infinity Gauntlet saga is the root. It is like the beginnings. It is my big bang. What started my whole comic book collecting, and my whole comic book collection um revolves around that. It's where it all stems from. It's where it all branches out from. And that's what I love about my collection. It's just all like cosmic, universe stuff. Here is Thor 384. Oh my gosh, I gotta show Thor 383 again. It had Thor battling Doctor Doom, the Wrecking Crew, this Kang in the background, plus the Enchantress on the side. Come on, guys. I had to bring this one back. They don't make covers like this anymore. Look at that. That's a gang war right there. Look at how they're all ganging up on Thor. Here's 384. Look at this cover. This is a classic cover, and I don't know how many times they've paid homage to this cover, but this is an awesome cover. And this is what I mean by like they just don't make them like they used to. Here is Thor issue 385. Here's 386, and this is from the Fall of the Mutants. I don't know who that is that Thor's battling. Oh, this has got a Celestial on it. And that's what I mean. Here's Thor issue 387. So as a kid, as soon as I saw the Celestial on this cover and like what was about to happen inside this comic, I'm like, I have to get this. I have to grab this now. It was Thor issue 388. And I don't know what as a kid made me gravitate more towards the more like the cosmic side of the Marvel universe. Because at the time, all of my friends were into characters like Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Punisher, the X-Men. Superheroes that were more like grounded on Earth. But instead, I was more like attracted to like the adventures that the Fantastic Four were having in outer space. Or like these cosmic, beings, these cosmic superheroes that were, in outer space that, Earth didn't even know about. Like the Silver Surfer and, all of Galactus Heralds. And, I was just drawn to stuff like that. Like what was happening in the Marvel universe, but what was happening in like their outer space? Like what was happening, in their cosmic universe. So here is Thor issue 389 against the Judgment of the Celestial. And I loved when, I got introduced to characters like the In-Betweener or Eternity or the Living Tribunal. Those kind of characters blew my mind away. And characters like Spider-Man and Punisher, riding around in a van just wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't blowing my mind away. But being introduced to, Thanos and the Living Tribunal and stuff like that, that blew my mind away as a kid. Here is Thor issue 391. And that's what made me get into, the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. Here is Thor issue 392 with a Daredevil appearance. That right there will give me my Daredevil fix that I need for the year. I could just read like 1 or 2 Daredevil comics a year and be good. If he makes an appearance in like a Thor comic book, I'm like blown away and I'm good for like the next year or two. Like I don't feel the need to go out there and read a bunch of Daredevil for some reason. But here's another Daredevil appearance in Thor issue 393. And that's some really good artwork. I mean, right here on the cover, it's telling you basically 2 stories at once. It's letting you know what's about to happen in this comic. It's letting you know what kind of action is about to go down. Here is Thor issue 394. And that's just a beautiful cover too, I think. Here's Thor issue 395. and I don't know who those people are. If you guys see any kind of keys, minor keys, any sort of keys in this collection, in this lot, leave a comment down below, because I really need to, like, you know, find out what are the keys and, like, learn a little bit more about Thor comics. My knowledge on Thor comics is, like, dismal. Here is Thor issue 396 with the Black Knight in the comic. Another dope cover. And if I take out a cover like this and the one that had Iron Man on the cover and maybe two more really good comics that have like two really good covers on, and I sell them for $40, it pays for this whole lot. It pays for this. And that's another thing, is that I want to share with the comic book community where I'm finding these good deals, and they're mostly on eBay, because I feel like, like with today's economy, which the way the economy's going, you gotta smart shop, and you gotta shop smart, and you gotta use some common sense when you're shopping, and it doesn't make sense to buy 4 or 5 comic books for $25 when you can go out there on eBay and get like 50 books for $25, and really bulk up your collection and have a lot to read. That's if you're actually into reading the books. I know a lot of collectors don't read nowadays. Here's Thor issue 397, but I'm into actually reading the comics, and I plan on reading all of these one day. When I'm done collecting all of these Thor comics, I'm gonna find the earliest issue I have and read them all the way through. Here is Thor issue 398. And thanks to whoever's, joining me in the chat. I really appreciate it. If you guys like what you see, please click like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Hit that notification button, because I'm going to try to do videos like this on a daily where I'm showing off like a huge bulk of comics, like a huge lot, a huge collection, because that's how I've been buying comics lately, is by in bulk and like buying up huge collections and huge lots. And here is Thor issue 399. Again, it's got, I think, the Black Knight on the cover. Okay, now we're getting into the 400s. And this is a supersized issue 400. See? Yeah, all of these need to be rebagged and board, but they all are great covers. Here's another one with Loki. Here is Thor issue 401. And like I said, anything with Loki nowadays on the cover or in the story, I'm buying it. I just love the character now. I just love reading him. Here is Thor issue 402. Here's Thor issue 403. Here's Thor issue 404. Here's Thor issue 405, battling Annihilus. I mean, now he's crossing over into other dimensions, other multiverses. And that's what I like about Thor. He wasn't just a, mythical fantasy character. To me, Thor is a part of the MCU. He's a cosmic, superhero. He's right up there with Silver Surfer and Warlock. And I want to say over half his battles are happening in outer space. He's not out there fighting the ice giants in every issue. Here's Thor issue 406. I think people think that Thor's always out there fighting ice giants in his comic books. No, Thor's all over the place. He's out there in outer space, fighting cosmic beings and saving the universe. I think this issue has an appearance of Ego, the Living Planet. That is Thor issue 407. Here is Thor issue 408. Oh my gosh, what another beautiful cover. It's got Doctor Doom, Hercules, and Thor all on the front cover. as he's got them trapped in time. I mean, look at this cover. It's a beautiful action cover. It's got words all over the place. Nowadays, they don't even want the title on the front cover. You guys want nothing but virgin variants. But that is beautiful. That's an awesome cover. This cover's got Doctor Doom, Hercules, Thor, She-Hulk, and a Doombot. Come on, guys. Look at the action on that. Look at the color usage. Look at the placements of the colors. Look how it pops, how vibrant it is. I really miss comic books like this. And I wish sometimes, like, we can go back at least a little bit to the way comics used to be. I understand, everything evolves and everything changes. And, these are like the way, modern comics are nowadays. But I really miss the feel of an old school comic book. And I think that's why I love having so many back issues in my collection. That's why I love trying to complete so many runs, so many series, because I love going back and looking at this old art, this old style of comic books. I think as we get further and further into the future, people are gonna really appreciate stuff like this more and more. It's complete artwork. It's beautiful artwork. Here is Thor issue 414. Here is Thor issue 415. Here is Thor issue 416. It looks like he's taking down some dirty cops. Here is Thor issue 417 with a space stalker appearance. I believe this character made an appearance in the TVA. I believe they were the TVA, like the higher ups, and then his head got decapitated. I believe it's these people. I forgot their name. I'm really bad at remembering things like that. Here is Thor issue 418 as he battles him and Hercules battling the Wrecking Crew. And I wish we would see more of the Wrecking Crew in the MCU because I think they could be used as like a lot of comic relief. I think they're fucking awesome and I think they're hilarious. I remember as a kid kind of thinking Thor was a wuss because these 3 to 4 guys gave him such a hard time on a consistent basis. I was like, how powerful can Thor be if a guy with a crowbar could like beat his ass? But then you learn how powerful the Wrecking Crew truly is. Here is Thor issue 419. It's got the Watcher and the High Evolutionary on the front cover. Look at that. Look at and if you guys don't realize how great this artwork is, that's on you. But look at the expression on Thor's face. That alone tells a story. You don't even see that kind of expression on characters. They're not even drawn that way anymore, especially like on the front cover. You don't see that kind of feeling and emotion and being portrayed just by the look on his face. Characters just aren't drawn that way anymore. And that alone, just the look on his face tells a quick short story. Here is Thor issue 420. It's got Captain America, She-Hulk, Quasar. And I'm sorry, but I also love Quasar. He's in my top 10. And I'm going to get a complete run one day. I want to complete that series of Quasar comics from like the 90s. Here is Thor issue 421. Here is Thor issue 422. Here is Thor issue 423. Here is Thor issue 424. Here is Thor issue 425 as his body just lays there lifeless. Another great cover. I'm not going to say it again that they just don't make covers like this anymore, but what happens to putting expression into the art, into the face of these characters? So that alone could tell a story. I mean, you could see the pain, the sorrow in that guy's face. Here is Thor issue 426. Here is Thor issue 427. And I'm really glad to have this cover. This comic, I think I have at least 4 copies. And I can never find it in good condition because it's a white cover primarily. So I usually find this white cover yellowed or with a lot of foxing stains. So I never find it in great condition. And this one looks to be like a 9094. So that's great. I think that's, good enough for the PC. And on this cover, you've got the Juggernaut, you've got Excalibur, you've got Nightcrawler, Captain Britain, Kitty Pryde. Just want to mention Nightcrawler is also, he's probably, I want to say my favorite X-Men. Here's Thor issue 428. It's got Captain Britain. It's got the Wrecking Crew giving him more trouble. Here is Thor issue 429. It's got him battling the Juggernaut, the unstoppable force. Let me tell you, I love the Juggernaut so much. I always thought that the Juggernaut was so powerful that the only people that should be able to beat the Juggernaut is like Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Silver Surfer, and I want to say that's about it. That's how powerful I think the Juggernaut is. No one should be able to give the Juggernaut any trouble, any problems, except those 4 people. And here is another beautiful comic. I know everyone's really into nowadays Ghost Rider teaming up with Wolverine, but just when you think it's cool, it's already been there, done that. It's already been done, 10 times over. Here is Ghost Rider teaming up with Thor. And look at that beautiful black cover. It's in great shape. I want to say the condition on this book is easily a 9.4 to a 9.6. And people think they're just now making use of Ghost Rider. No, they've been making great usage of Ghost Rider throughout the years. There's always been great team-ups with Ghost Rider, with Wolverine and Thor, or like other people, Spider-Man teaming up with Ghost Rider. That's all been done in the past. You guys just don't know because you guys aren't taking your time to go and find these backstories, and read them and learn about them. There's probably a lot more interesting stories in these back issues than anything that's being put out today, right now. Here is Thor issue 431. Here is Thor issue 432 having an epic battle with Loki on that front cover. Just looking at that front cover, you knew something was about to go down in that comic book. And again, I love having anything in my collection that has Loki on the cover or Loki in the comic book. And this one it also presents very well. I want to say this is easily a 9.4 to 9.6, especially if I got it pressed and cleaned. Here is Thor 433. And I'm almost done here with this collection, with this lot. I want to say that I haven't seen too many doubles from the first collection I bought from the first lot, the one that I did in the first video. I'm trying to think if I can't say I've seen too many doubles. Anything that was the same as the previous video. I want to say that this collection is gonna fill a lot of holes in my run to complete my series. I don't think I ran into too many doubles, and if I do have any doubles, I'm going to be more than happy to have them because, like I said, the first collection was all newsstand editions. And I feel like now I have definitely more than half the Thor run, half the Thor series in direct and newsstand editions. So I don't care if there was a lot of doubles here from the previous videos, but the good part is that these are the direct, and I have also now the newsstands. Here is Thor issue 434. And the final issue that I have in this collection, in this lot, was Thor issue 435. And that to me is the worst cover ever. I don't ever want to see Thor holding anything besides his hammer. He should never ever be holding a gun. That just doesn't suit him. It doesn't fit him. But that's the whole collection, guys. I think it was about 100 comics that I got for $125. So that's like about $1.25 a piece. And if I went to the comic book store with $100, I'd say I would be lucky to walk out with about 10 to maybe 20 books at the most. And I'm just glad to have this in my collection. I'm glad that I'm making some headway, trying to complete this store run, complete the full series. And when I do rebag and board these and I integrate them into my Thor comic book collection, when I'm finally done with all of this Thor unboxing, I'm going to show you the whole collection in one video, like every single issue, the doubles, the triples, the newsstands, the direct editions. I'll show it all again and stuff. Well, guys, if you like this video, please click like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be trying to put out videos like this at least twice a week where I'm just showing like full lots of comics. And it's always going to be Marvel comics because I don't read any DC. And stay tuned. Hit the notification button so you don't miss a thing. Peace out, comic culture. Check out my previous videos because I do it for the culture.